Good evening, Rotorua. Tonight on City News, Department of Conservation Rangers say to check the source of native firewood after a local is charged with the theft of timber from a scenic reserve. A new Travel Channel series will share Rotorua with the world, and we have a family pass to give away to tomorrow night's Royal New Zealand Ballet performance of Capelia. But first, Maori Party co-leader and Wairiki MP Te Rotorua Flavel says he believes the tide is turning and we can expect to see families moving from Australia back to New Zealand. Mr Flavel was in Australia in March and says he met with Maori who think the grass is no longer as green in the lucky country.
I've met with many Kiwis over there. Now, while some of them are doing very well for themselves, there's a number who are actually struggling because they've gone over there thinking that everything is going to just fall into their lap, and it doesn't work like that. Through the whole notion of citizenship, all those sorts of things start to impact on those who go over there. And I heard umpteen stories of families who are really struggling. Also, that they miss out on many of the benefits. By simply going to Australia, they miss out on a number of benefits that Australian citizens can get over there, but more to the point that Australian citizens coming to New Zealand can access services in New Zealand far better than going the other way, Kiwis going to Australia. So I think there will be a movement of people coming back to New Zealand. In fact, the most recent research says that trend is starting to halt and turn around, so people are coming home.
The Department of Conservation is encouraging the public to check the source of their native firewood after a Rotorua resident was recently charged with the theft of timber from a scenic reserve. The timber was on-sold as firewood. Dock rangers had located 2 areas in a Mamaku reserve where live tawa trees had been felled and partially removed. Dock Ranger Paul Cashmore says some of the trees felled were more than 100 years old and significant to the forest. He says if you buy native firewood off the side of the road or from a new source, please take the time to ask where the wood came from. The theft of native timber from reserves is an ongoing concern for Dock. Love Soup Charitable Trust is collecting blankets, hats, gloves, socks and scarves for the homeless and families in need. The Blankets of Love campaign is supported by community groups and business in the city where people can leave their donations.
Well, I'm a trustee for the Love Soup Charitable Trust, and we're going to set up a soup kitchen here. But what we're doing initially is collecting some blankets for the homeless and for people that can't turn on the power, too expensive, don't have blankets, kids are cold. So we thought we'd gather up some blankets and get them out to them.
Well, that's a great initiative, isn't it? So obviously there has to be drop-off points where people can drop off their blankets.
That's right, and we're here today at Lockwood's because they are supporting us. We have about 10 or 11 drop-off points.
And for more information you can visit Love Soup, one word, lovesoup.co.nz. Rotorua is set to feature on RV Rampage, a new series being released worldwide next week on the Travel Channel. The show hits New Zealand screens on Thursday when it makes its world premiere to a potential audience of 200 million. Destination Rotorua Marketing General Manager Oscar Nathan says being involved in a show with an audience the size of RV Rampage reinforces Rotorua's image as a must-visit destination for any trip to New Zealand. And we still have a family pass to give away for tomorrow night's Royal New Zealand Ballet performance of Capelia. The ballet is described as a charming and bittersweet tale of mistaken identity and true love. To win the tickets, go to our website and visit the competition page and tell us the name of the show. Capelia is on tomorrow night at the Civic Theatre. For more information you can visit nzballet.org.nz. And in sport tonight, congratulations to local student Keenan McCullum, who was voted winning designer of this season's Steamers Alternative jersey. Keenan attends Rotorua Intermediate and won the Facebook competition with a massive 677 votes. So well done. The jerseys will be available for pre-sale this week via Bay of Plenty Rugby Union's online shop. And to your weather update now. Tonight, fine weather, which is good news. Westerlies and an overnight low of 6. Tomorrow for Wednesday, cloud increasing, late drizzle. Westerlies freshening and a high of 15 with a low of 8. And looking out to Thursday, brief early rain with northwesterlies turning to southwest, a high of 14 and a low of 3. And out on the Lake the Marine forecast for Lake Rotorua for Wednesday, westerlies 10 knots developing, wave less than half a metre, cloud increasing, poor visibility developing in rain at night. And still to come tonight on City News, we find out about the work of Quota International And we meet Kay Baxter, Director of Koanga Institute and a world-renowned expert in seed saving and permaculture gardening. She's on a mission to travel the length of New Zealand in a fundraising quest to save the New Zealand heritage seed. I caught up with her last week when she was here promoting her work.
Well, we all know what an awesome job the different service clubs do around our city, but there may be one club you haven't heard of before, and that is Quota International. Now, if you haven't heard about them before, we're going to find out who they are and what they do by talking with their new president, Lorraine Moore. So we're going to head inside and catch up with her. Hi Lorraine, thanks for joining us on City News today. Now, before we get into your new role as the new president of Quota International, what exactly is Quota International and what they do around the world?
Well, Quota International was started in America approximately 100 years ago, and now they've spread into many countries around the world. And it's a service club, a women's professional service club it was when it started. It's not so professional now, but they help people around the world. We do lots of fundraising here in Rotorua to help Rotorua people, but we also pay money to international, and they help countries like Fiji, Philippines, and any major disasters around the world. If we've got a club there, we send them funds.
Is there many clubs here in New Zealand?
There's only 6 in New Zealand. That's pretty small. That's why we're not very well known, unfortunately. We have tried to start other clubs up, but it's a bit of a struggle when you're 50 or 60 k's away.
Yeah. Now, in those 6 clubs, how many members are there in New Zealand?
In total, there's probably about 150 or so. We've got 25 here in Rotorua, but in Wakatani...
That's a good number, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good number, but Wakatani's got about 50. And luckily for Wakatani, they're the only service club in Wakatani.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there's service clubs like the Lions and Rotary and Kiwanis and Swaptimus and clubs like that. What's the difference between them and Quota International?
Well, I think there's not a lot of difference. I think basically we're all service clubs. We're all out there to support the community, the young people, the old people, and all the service people in Rotorua, like the St John's Ambulance, the fire brigades, and those. We're just here to support people that can't afford some things that they want.
Has there ever been discussions about joining up and doing some sort of community work with these other clubs in town?
Well, just recently we had a combined dinner with Optimus, Zonta, us, and one of the other clubs, I can't quite remember, and it was mooted that maybe we should join together for one big fundraiser a year and pick a specific person to donate it to, so they get a good size amount of money.
Is there any recent projects, Lorraine, that Quota International has taken part in?
Last year we did at the end of the year, spring into summer, and all that money we worked for to donate to the leukemia and blood disorder in Rotorua. And our other major fundraiser is the Mahjong tournament that's in August, and we just select someone to donate that money to every year.
That's like a card game, isn't it?
Yes, it's a card game. I don't play it. It's too complicated for me, but lots of people are very dedicated to it.
Now, I mentioned at the start of the story, Lorraine, that you're the new president, but how long have you been involved here in the Quota International?
I've been involved in the club for 16 years.
Wow.
So I'm not the longest one by far, but I've had numerous positions in the club as treasurer, secretary, director of club services, VPs, and things like that. Now I'm the president. Yes.
So you're a busy woman, eh? Obviously, with service clubs, you're always looking for new members. Is it the same case with you guys?
Very much so. We're very much like all service clubs, I think, in Rotorua are really struggling for members.
Yeah. Is it because you think it might be for mature people as opposed to having the younger members coming through?
I think there is a little bit of that. And plus the younger ones are so busy these days, it's very difficult for them to allow time to do community work, really.
Now, if someone's wanting to join Quota International, Lane, how can they get hold of you or someone in the club?
There is a website with Quota New Zealand, and all our information's on that. But if they wanted to get in contact with me, they can ring me myself, or Barbara Cummings, or any person in the club would be more than happy to take their inquiries.
And your details will be on the website?
The club one will be on the website. Yeah.
Now, your normal job, 9 to 5 job, you're here at Girls High. What do you do here?
I'm the executive officer at school here, and I'm in sort of charge of the school finances and anything to do with the administration.
So you got your normal job plus you're volunteering as a club president?
At the moment, yes.
Now, also you're heading off overseas very shortly too.
I am, yes. I'm off to Vietnam on Saturday week. My step-granddaughter, I suppose you would call her, is getting married in Vietnam on the 3rd of June. So myself and my daughter and husband and 3 daughters, we're all going to a wedding.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we've combined it with a tour of Vietnam as well, and then I'm off to China to see some friends.
Oh, you don't slow down, do you?
No, I'm quite a fan of travelling.
Yeah. Now, before we go, Lorraine, is there any fundraising events or anything that's Quota International doing coming up, in this year?
Very soon in August we've got it's called a national mahjong tournament, and we get anything from 120 to 150 people come along, and it goes from we start Friday night with a welcome, and then they play cards all day Saturday until about 3 o'clock on Sunday.
Wow.
So it's quite big because we feed them, we give them lunch, morning, afternoon teas each day, and then we have like a little pung ho party on Saturday night with wine, and they dress up with a hat or a bag like the mahjong cards, I think.
Sounds like a good night. Well, Elaine, we appreciate your time, and again, with all the different service clubs in town, we appreciate what you guys do in our city, and appreciate your time being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, we're a big part of Rotorua service clubs, and it's really good working for them. It's good comradeship too, to be working together for one goal.
Yeah, of course. Good stuff, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Well, I'm catching up with Kate Baxter today, who is the director of Koanga Institute, and she's also a world-renowned expert in seed saving. So, Kate, welcome to the show today. Now, it's going to sound like a real strange question, but why do we need to save seeds?
Well, our ecologists tell us that the future of life on Earth as we know it is dependent on diversity and the biodiversity and the connections between things. And we've got around, maybe 1 to 3% of the heritage of the food plants left that we had 100 years ago.
Is that all? So that means 97% are gone?
Extinct.
Wow, that's horrific, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and I mean, we're on a knife edge.
Yeah. So what can we do about it?
Well, I started off on this journey a long time ago, and I discovered, that Russian nuclear disaster, Chernobyl. I discovered it. Someone told me when the Northern Hemisphere was under a nuclear cloud at that point, especially Holland, that all the seeds we had in New Zealand came from Holland. And I just knew that I had to do something about it. I had 4 young children, and it felt like a really scary position to be in. I didn't think most people had no clue that was what their reality in this country. I mean, how could we in this land have been totally dependent for our food security on the Northern Hemisphere? So I didn't know, I was naive, I didn't know anything about saving seeds or heritage seeds, but I just kind of opened a door, I guess, and I put the intention out there, and doors kept opening. And very soon I realised that if we had heritage seeds or old seeds that I could save myself, it was obviously the old gardeners that had them. And I connected up with a lot of old people, and that was at a time, like 30 years ago, that was at a time when the people with the seeds were the last generation that were actually gardening, they'd had those seeds their entire lives, and they knew them well. They were part of the family, they valued them, and they had no one to pass their seeds to. So we came on the scene about that time, and we had a lot of television coverage at that time, and they just flooded in. All these old people sending the stories and the seeds, and they wanted someone to look after them that understood their value.
Now, you mentioned heritage seeds. What's the difference between that and heirloom seeds?
There's no difference. One is the American term and one's the English term, and essentially what that means is that our heritage seeds are the seeds of they're our own story, they're our us. They've evolved with us, they've co-evolved with us for thousands of years. We can't separate their story from our story, and when you eat them, you know that there's a strong connection there. It makes a difference, and there's a lot of science there now to show that. And in the last 10 years, there's been an enormous learning curve and a lot of science to show that every known disease has a connection with malnutrition. And we now know that our heritage food plants have far more nutrition in them than seeds bred by the industrial paradigm.
That's shocking, isn't it, really?
Well, they're breeding seeds and growing food to make money for the shareholders of the multinationals. And our ancestors saved seed to nourish us because our children were the most important. Our children were our future, and so they really did everything they could to make sure that the children were strong. And our seeds, our animals, our food plants were it, really. So they really, I mean, without the science, they saw the patterns. All of our ancestors understood the patterns that it took to maintain healthy people, and saving the best seeds was a part of that. And so I really believe now that the heritage seeds that we have left are going to play a really important role in our future, and we're actually the only organisation in New Zealand that's totally dedicated to saving our New Zealand heritage food plants.
Well, let's talk about your organisation, the Koanga Institute. When did you start that, and what's the kaupapa behind it?
We started it about 30 years ago. The kaupapa is, it's changed actually because we've grown and we've learned. In the beginning it was about saving our heritage fruit trees. And I didn't even know that you just didn't buy seeds in the supermarket. I just thought they come from the supermarket. And then I found out that all our seeds came from Holland, and that was under a nuclear cloud. And I started discovering we had seeds as well here, and I was really naive in the beginning. And so I started saving the seeds as well, and very soon my whole garden's full of heritage fruit trees and heritage seeds, and this amazing... I was really blessed in that I had 20 years alone in the garden with these food plants before I discovered there were other people doing it, and before I started coming in touch with science around it. So I got it on a cellular level. I made connections with the plants and the trees, and I came to understand on a cellular level that the whakapapa of our food plants makes a real difference to who we are and how we are, and yeah. So I now there's a lot of science to support that, and there's a new science called epigenetics, which is called the new biology, and that shows us actually, I mean, it's really obvious that the health of the soil determines the health of the plants and animals that grow there.
Well,
and
that's common sense, isn't it?
It is, and it's also common sense that determines our health, but we've never understood actually how our food plants, how our food communicates with our bodies. And we know that now. We know that a part of the double helix spiral, some of it's the DNA and some of it's the junk DNA, and the scientists called the large part of it junk DNA because they didn't understand its function. But we now know that that's the part of our body that communicates with our food, and it communicates with minerals, vitamins and essential fatty acids. And so the more nutrient dense the food is that we eat, the clearer the communication is with our bodies, and the stronger the tags are that go onto our DNA, which means we're healthier, we're stronger, and we pass strong DNA on down. And so having our food grown from heritage seeds, and also having it grown in healthy soil, which means minerals and microbes, is really important for maintaining our health. So I see the genetics or the seeds as being a key to the health, a key to the future, really.
Well, we're carrying on our story about seed saving with Kay Baxter from Koanga Institute, and about what you can do to help protect our seeds and the future of New Zealand. Well, Kay, big conversation. There's so many different angles and so many different paths we could go down. But obviously when this goes to air, you would have left Rotorua. So what's the main things you're going to be talking about tonight?
I'm going to be sharing the journey of how our ancestors co-evolved on Papatuanuku, on this earth, and the way that they lived, and the places they lived and the food they ate had a really strong connection with their health, and how that's changed through the agricultural revolution and then the industrial revolution, and how we're not actually able to adapt fast enough to all the changes that are happening now. And if we want to maintain if we want to recover our health, actually, because we're already going down the tubes. If we want to recover our health, there are a whole lot of things we can do, and it needs to be done at a grassroots community level because it isn't coming from the top. So I'm really into grassroots community action, and there are loads of things we can do, loads and loads of things we can do that everybody can take a step, everybody can do, and it's great to get together and have, you know, in community groups of various sorts to talk about what we can do and how we can do it.
Yeah. There might be some people out there listening now, Kay, who might think this is just airy-fairy hippie rubbish. What do you say to that?
Well, well, there's plenty of science. I mean, I don't necessarily believe all the science I hear by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, we've only got like 1 to 5% of the heritage seeds left, and there's any amount of science to show that there's a connection between nutrition and every disease known to mankind. There are strong, I mean, there's just so much science out there now to show that our heritage seeds contain far more nutrition than our industrial seeds, and obviously it's not just about the genetics, it's also about how we grow them. But it's, I think we've had our head in the sand for too long, and we've been waiting for, you know, we've kind of been, I think sometimes we wait for people to show us the way, and I think we just have to do it ourselves. We have to, like, we need to face the reality about our health. How many of us have got people in our families with cancer, with diabetes and all the rest of it?
Which
you know,
is preventable, isn't it?
It's totally preventable, and it's largely, it's how we live. Environment determines genetic expression.
So you don't eat McDonald's then?
No.
What do you say to things like the Terminator seed? You know, Monsanto is like one of the big companies that's making all these seeds that are genetically modified. How scary is that?
It's really scary, but I don't find it useful to get scared. I just, like, we have to be the change we want to see, and I've spent too many years of my life demonstrating and being against things and fighting things, and to be honest with you, I don't even think about that anymore. It's such a beautiful, empowering and healthy thing to do, to like get into the garden and grow food and share seeds and do something positive that I kind of feel like, and I think it is a lot more embracing of a lot more people as well. Yeah, and I feel like it's time for us to regroup as communities at a grassroots level and grow our own food and share food and teach each other how to garden and understand the value of our heritage seeds. And you soon get it when you start growing them and eating that food. It's real grassroots stuff that we need, and there aren't enough models on the ground. So I'd really encourage people to become members of the Koanga Institute. Go to our website. We've got an amazing website. Check out what we're up to. You know, maybe just have a really good look. We're doing a lot of amazing research. One of the really special research projects we're doing is we've got a 200 square metre urban garden. Cool. And we're trying to see how much of a family of four's nutrition that's needed on a daily basis can be grown in 200 square metres, and it's really exciting. There's some really exciting stuff happening. I focus on the positive.
In an ideal world, Kay, what would you like to see? Is there hope at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I guess I'm an optimist, so I believe that there is hope. I have a lot of faith, and yeah, I believe there is, and in the end it comes down to enough people caring enough and deciding that what they want is something different.
That was Kay Baxter, Director of Koanga Institute and a world-renowned expert in seed saving and permaculture gardening, talking there to City News' Alan Solomon. If you have a news event TV Rotorua can support, call our office and talk to one of our team, 07 3488 984, or of course you can email us, that's news@tvrotorua.co.nz. And if you missed anything in tonight's show, you can watch again on tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for having us at your place. From all the team here at City News, Pamanio.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.